Hi. So what I thought I would do is for the useful model, rather than actually just print something out and show it, I thought I'd walk you through some of the steps that I use when I'm designing a model. So I'm using a piece of software called Shaper 3D. Now, it's not the cheapest piece of software. It does come with a monthly subscription. It's quite high. You can get a free trial of it, etc. But I find it quite intuitive and useful to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to design something really useful, something that everyday people need around the house, something like a hook. So it's a hook basically to hook things onto. So whether that is a jacket, a bag, a heavy duty hook to hold things, who knows? But what we've got here is, and I'm not really going to teach you how to use the software as such. I'm just going to show you the process. So firstly, we're going to go down to a top-down view because we want to be able to see the top of the object, and we're going to start drawing the object in the top way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sketching. So I want to sketch an object. So I've got a line here. So I'm going to sketch a line. And what you can see here is this is the center object. So this is about, you'll see it starts to draw the distance out. So again, let's make it 20. So 2 centimeters basically. But what we want to do is we want to make it look quite nice. So rather than just having a straight line, we want to have a little arc here. And the arc basically is going to form, and let's do it at say 90. And as you can see, we've now got an arc at 90. And let's just do that at the other side. And there will be shortcuts. If you're familiar with Shaper yourself, you're probably much better at it than I am. But I'm kind of showing you the basics here. So, and then we're going to draw something longer. Now, normally a hook might be a little bit longer so that you've got some length to it. To put screw holes in or command strip sticky tabs behind it. And we're actually going to do two variations. We're going to do one variation that can be screwed in and one variation that can use double-sided tape like command strips. So let's call it 45. Or actually, let's make it 50 so it's a round number. And then we're just going to tidy that up with an arc to here, and we're going to make that arc 90 again, and then we're going to draw it along a bit. And as you can see here, we're going to draw it to here. And then we're going to arc it back down again. And we're going to set that arc at 90 again. As you can see, it sort of intuitively does it for you. And then we're going to close off that loop. Now, this is the basic shape of what we've got. Now, if I double click on the top, it will go to an isometric view, and you can see that I can click on the object now. So we've basically got this plate, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude the plate. Now, given we want it to be a hook, it's going to have to be a little bit thicker than I might normally do so that there's some strength to it. So we're going to make it 3 mil. So what I've now done is I've extruded a little back plate of about 3 mil. And that's going to form the back plate. Now, what I want to now do is I want to go into the side view and I want to draw on the hook. So again, I'm going to sketch and I'll have to switch it back and forwards a little bit to get it right. Cool, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a hook. So we're going to have it look a little bit nicer. So we're going to have a arc at the bottom. This time we're going to make the arc, let's think. So we're 3 up basically. So if we wanted to go up here and then go up 3, that will give us an even arc. So yeah, something like that. And then if we go like that, we can get that to there, should we say? And then what we want to do is we want to start drawing out the hook piece. So we want the hook to go about here. So I'm leaving out the space here and a bit of space here for the screw hole. So we want the arc to probably go up to about here, or the hook. So actually, let's make the hook to about here. And then let's make the hook rounded. So the hook's probably going to have to be 4 mil so that it's nice and strong. So I'm just going to draw a little circle on here. And then I'm going to come back in to about here. Let's go 2 over, 3 over. And then I'm going to close off that arc with something that looks about right there. Actually, that could probably be a bit rounder. Let's do that again. So what we can do is we can stretch the arc a little bit more to make it look a bit more. Let's go there. Right. So what we've now got is a slight disparity there between the 4 and the 5 thickness. So let's just move this up here. What I'll have to do is just reorder these points. And that makes it look a little bit better than it did a minute ago. And then just pull that in. Cool. And basically you just keep messing with it until you're happy with the what you're drawing effectively. So that's a bit more rounded. And that's a bit more rounded. Now we've got this extra circle here, so we want to get rid of that. So we're just going to trim that. So we click there, and there you go, it's gone, it's trimmed. And then what we do is we exit sketching and we go back to the three-dimensional view. And what you can see now is we've got this other object here, and we're just going to extrude that the whole length. Now, obviously, we could make it a partial hook, so it doesn't go the full length. But in this case, I want it to be quite a heavy-duty hook, so I want it to be that thick. So we've now basically done that. So I click off it and you can see we've now got our hook. Now what I want to do at this stage is I want to add some smoothing around the edges to make it look a bit prettier. So let's think, how do we want to do this? We're going to print probably on this surface here. So let's leave those flat so that we get a nice print line. But what we can do is we could arc this surface here a little bit. But let's not. Let's just leave it as is. Let's leave it like this. So what we can do first is we're going to union the object. So we're going to go Tools and we're going to go Union and we're going to select the whole object and we're going to hit OK. And that basically just brings the object together. Then I'm going to select the whole object. I'm going to click Copy and I'm going to move it over here. So I've now got 2 copies of the same object. And up here you can see I've got body 1, body 2. Body 1 I'm going to rename hookless. Oh, sorry, screwless. So it doesn't have a screw. And body 2 I'm going to call screw hole because it is going to have screw holes. So the first one on the left we're going to basically assume that the person is going to use double-sided tape for. This one here we're going to assume that they're going to use a screw for. So what we do is we zoom in and with sketch on, and in this case we want to draw a circle. So we want it to be roughly the center of what we're doing. So again, what I probably should have done is moved it so it's a little bit more accurate. So let's just do that. Let's just move it so it lines up with one of the surface lines like that. Right, cool. And then as we zoom in, as I mentioned, let's go sketch. Going to take a circle and let's put the first of the screw holes. Let's put it here, and we only need it to be small. So 2 is actually 4 because we're looking at radius, so 1's enough. And then we've got 1 down here as well, so probably want that to be in there so that it's a little bit away from the edge. 1 there, so we've got 2 screw holes basically. Now what we can do then is we need to build the actual screw holes. So to do that we flip to the other side and we select the actual holes themselves. I'm just going to hold shift and select the other ones. You can see I've now got holes, and I'm just going to push upwards, and you'll notice all of a sudden it cuts the holes out for me, or it should have done. Let's just do that again. Push up, yep, and do this one as well. Push up, and it's created 2 holes for me. Now I want the holes to be a little bit nicer, so I'm going to click on the hole and I'm going to put a fillet in, and the fillet size I'm going to make 0.5, and you'll notice that just puts a nice little fillet around the hole so that the screw head can sit into a slight indentation so it's a bit flatter. So here you can see I have 2 objects now, 2 wide hooks, one on the left, one on the right, and then what we do is to extract them, we hide one of them, so we'll hide the screwless one first. We go File, Export. We can save it as either a 3MF or an STL. In this case, we're going to do it as a 3MF. So this is the one with the screw hole. So we're going to call this hook underscore screw underscore, and this is a raw 3MF, so we're just going to call it 3MF. And then we are going to hide that and hide that one. The reason why we have to hide it is because when you export, it exports everything. If you don't, even if you've got a selection, yeah, but you can see down here there's an include hidden items, and that's off, so it doesn't export the hidden ones. So in this case, and this one is screwless, and we now have our two files. So what we can now do is we can open up the slicer. And I'll just need to switch the software. So give me a second. Right, so we're now in Anycubic Slicer. So we're going to import our hooks. So as you can see, we've got our hook here. That's the first one. And then we're going to import the second one. And you can see now we've got our two hooks in the slicer. Now, as I mentioned before, to get a nice clean print, what we're actually going to do is we're going to print them on their side face. So if we use the lay on face option, you can see it just flips them around. Lay on face, lay on face. And we've now got two objects on the faces. Now, the only bit that they might struggle with is the circles, but the circles are really small, so I'm sure the printer will handle that fine. And we can always run a screwdriver through it just to clear out any excess filament that ends up in there. Now, what we've got down here is our infill, so we probably want our infill to be quite high given we're making hooks. Now, I already had it set on 80, which is what I would usually do for hooks from when I was doing some testing earlier, so I would leave it on 80. I would take the brim off because I don't think we're going to need the brim to support this. I think it'll be okay without the brim. If you hit problems, you can always turn the brim back on. What I would normally do now is push it to the printer, but the printer is actually printing something else at the moment, so I'm going to just save the project. I'm going to call it hooks AC and press save. Overwrite the existing file that I had already from a previous piece of work, and you can see now I am ready to go. So what I'll do is I will come back and do a video showing you the resultant print once it's printed. So these are just off the printer, so we've printed them now. So you can see here we've got the two variants. So we've got the variant with the holes in it, so that will allow some small screws to go through and then into some wall plugs, hold it on the wall. The holes are deliberately a little bit smaller so that it threads through as it goes through the holes. And then here we've got the one which doesn't have any holes in it, and the idea being you'll put some double-sided tape on the back plate of that wall. And then as you can see, you've got the hook. And as you can see, it's really solid. It's nice and thick, high infill. It'll hold an object. And this is what I wanted for this one. Obviously, you could half the size of it and have a smaller one, but I wanted these to be wide, heavy-duty clips. So hopefully you found that useful, but obviously I really feel that something like a hook is an essential item that you'll always have around the house. So I think it's a really good item to have as a 3D printed item. So hopefully you like this entry into the contest.